Welcome to season 16 of Hardwood Heroes. I'm Natalie LaFleur.
And I'm Ty Carpenter. We can't wait to bring you 8 straight weeks of TVC basketball starting tonight.
And what a first week it's been between overtime thrillers, a buzzer beater, and a clash between two top teams in the TVC-Ohio. But let's start things off in the Hocking. The Federal Hocking Lancers traveled to Waterford Wednesday night. The tone was set early in the first thanks to Waterford's Finn Pennick drilling a 3 from the arc. Through 4, this game was tight, but here is Pennick again sinking a 3 to put Waterford ahead with a minute left to play. Now this game was far from over. Cam Joy to Messiah Cottrell to tie the game for the Lancers and force overtime. With 2 seconds left, Waterford's Reese Lang takes 2 dribbles and banks it in a half-court shot, and no surprise, he calls game. The Waterford Wildcats take home this instant classic in overtime, 51-48. I guess the Lancers had an itch for nail-biters this week. The girls also played an unforgettable game against Athens on Monday. Let's bring in Federal Hocking reporter Charlie Lusk to tell us more.
It's good to be back, Natalie. First segment of the first episode, we might have already seen Game of the Year. Now going into this game, both teams already had 5 conference wins, but in quite different styles. Despite Athens going into the game with a better record, they scored significantly less than FedHawk. That's because they like to play a slower, more disciplined defensive style as compared to the more explosive Lancers squad. The gym in Stewart is packed as the current number 1s in the TVC do battle. The Bulldogs open up the scoring with excellent ball movement that finds Bristol Stump behind the arc. Athens scrambles to grab a rebound, but Cookies, Brentley Cottrell snatches it and gets the easy 2. The Bulldogs would then get to a quick lead with phenomenal defense and that Alec Chapman to Quinn Banks connection for 3, 23-16 at half. And then in the third, Chapman and Banks say, "So nice, we might do it twice," extending that lead. After a tough half, the Lancers finally start to break down the Bulldog defense with Laura Blower in the corner. They cut the lead to 2 in the 4th, and Takira Walker's season open says, "I'm tying this," finishing the physical layup to force OT. Starting overtime, tied at 39, Takira Walker does it again, gets the bucket, takes the lead, which the Lancers take to the bank, winning a classic 46-41. Coach Amos Cottrell speaks about how Walker and this squad were able to bounce back and take over this game.
Yeah, so we just started to attack a little bit towards the paint. We were trying to get on the free throw line, but they do a good job of just bodying up and not fouling a lot. But we tried to run Brindley off ball a little bit, put Takira on the point, and just let her be more of a playmaker tonight. And ultimately, that worked out well for us.
Wow, so after a fantastic defensive half from the Bulldogs, how are the Lancers able to come back?
Well, simply put, FedHawk stopped letting Athens play their style of basketball.
So we know Athens plays a tough zone defense and uses their height to their advantage. How was FedHawk able to cut through it?
After a quiet first half, finally getting the 3 ball to go, getting great passes from people like Cottrell to allow Walker to attack the paint and take over. Once the Lancers took the lead, Athens' slow style turned into their Achilles heel. And you just know that the Lancers offense brought the arrows. FedHawk survives and grabs a statement win over the Bulldogs.
It certainly was. Thanks for the good work, Charlie. The Eastern
Boys heading to Belpre, and I don't want to waste time here. Derek Barnes putting back up the missed 3. Eastern leads by 1. But Malik Curry, he's looking like another Curry I know, drains the 3 before half. Belpre up 32-30, and he just seems to get it. So how about another? This one again taking the lead. So crunch time, and we all know about Colton Lloyd driving in easy. Down 1 late, and a chance to play hero for Ethan Edwards. This one's not going to fall. Belpre wins 57-55. So the boys lose in a heartbreaker, but let's check in on how the Eastern girls are doing. And thanks to a new head coach and some young talent, turns out pretty well. Their best start in 3 years. And here to talk about that start is Eastern reporter Evan Johnson. And Evan, I hear one freshman is leading the show.
Yeah, Ted, the Eagles have surpassed last year's win total in just their 4th game of the season. And one reason for this drastic change is freshman Kirsten Fackler. She has made an immediate impact on the program, and I got to catch up with her and learn more about the freshman. I'm here with Eastern freshman Kirsten Fackler, and we're going to go 94 feet. Kirsten, there's no seniors on this roster, so who do you kind of look to for advice on this team?
All our upperclassmen, the juniors, Brooklyn, Ashley McKenzie.
Now, you've been a really good guard this year. Is there someone kind of you model your game after basketball-wise?
JC Sheldon.
Do you listen to music pregame? What kind of music are you listening to?
Worship and R&B.
Is there a go-to pregame meal or snack?
Usually pasta.
What's something outside of basketball that you like doing?
I don't do much. I'm really close with my little brothers, so probably watching them.
Gotcha. Would you rather have the game-winning shot or game-winning block?
Game-winning block.
Alrighty, that's it. 94 feet with Kirsten Fackler. And there is Fackler looking to lead her team to the season sweep over FedHawk. And on the first possession of the game, who else but Fackler to put it in for 2? Now, in the second quarter, it's Brinley Cottrell. She'll cash in the floater, reaching 1,000 career points. Cottrell becomes the 8th Lady Lancer to reach the milestone. Now start of the fourth, Eastern up 3, and it's Cottrell with a smooth finish over Fackler. FedHawk now with the lead, and Bray Simpson comes out of nowhere and gets the basket and 1. Eastern still down 3 under a minute to go, but the freshman Emery Lloyd has ice in her veins, draining the shot from behind the arc. Free throws would secure the Eagles' lead, and a last-second heave would not be enough as Eastern wins 49-47.
Also, incredible performances from both teams, but it really felt like this game came down to those 2 guards.
Yeah, Kirsten Fackler and Brinley Cottrell were difference makers on the court. And they both led their team in scoring, and it was an incredible matchup to watch.
Yeah, not only do they excel on offense, I think it's that defense that elevates their games to new levels.
Yeah, they guarded each other the entire game, and it really felt like every single possession felt like there was no room for error.
Yeah, we've seen Cottrell dominate the last couple of years. It seems Fackler plays a very similar style.
Yeah, they're both kind of smaller. They run the offense, getting everyone involved. They're able to drive in and score through contact, and also drain shots from behind the arc. And even with Eastern getting the sweep, it's going to be a battle every single time these 2 players face off against each other.
Yeah, what a good rivalry. You'd love to see it. Thanks, Evan.
Let's head to Beverly for a big rivalry game for the boys. Waterford took a trip to Fort Frye, and here's Wildcat Finn Pennick with a tough lay to get things started. Tight game through 3. Fort Frye's Grady Hessen drives the baseline and grinds out a bucket. Cadets trying to pull away with a 3 from Ethan Wagner in the 4th coming up right here. But with this block by Avery Hotmeyer coming up in just 1 second, Waterford will seal the game, and the Cardiac Cats squeak out another win, 51-48. So the boys squeaked out an exciting win, and what's more exciting than talking about the reigning state champs? And joining us is Waterford reporter Jamie Spears to tell us more.
Thanks, Natalie. This Waterford team is young, and they're still in the race to win the TVC-Hocking. The Wildcats are defending Division 7 state champs, but they lost 3 seniors from last year's squad, 2 of them 1,000-point scorers. They only returned 2 starters from last season, and senior Elsie Malik and sophomore Brinley Potmeyer.
And how have those 2 led the charge this year?
Well, they're standing at 7-8, so not as good as the 27-1 team last year, but it has been a learning year for Coach Close and the Lady Cats with the success they've had in previous years. And that leads us to Waterford, as the Wildcats were coming into this game looking to win 3 straight conference games. While Southern was 0-7 in the Hocking, but coming off 2 wins. The Wildcats started off the game with 2 easy buckets to go up 4-0 before a timeout by the Tornadoes.
Yeah, nice start for the Wildcats, but did they keep the momentum rolling?
Not at all, as Southern shut down Waterford's offense for over 5 minutes and went up 9-6 after 1. But the Wildcats kicked it up a notch, going up 25-24 heading into the final quarter. The 4th quarter was a close one, but the main sealer was Waterford's defense. Coach Jerry Close said a late steal by Elsie Malik, followed by free throws in the closing seconds, proved decisive in the Wildcats' 35-31 win.
Well, Elsie Malik's steal late in the game was a big key. I thought we done a good job for the most part. We were just a step behind on some rotations, and we ended up giving them a lot of easy buckets just because of one missed rotation.
So a nice win for the girls, but they haven't had the easiest schedule yet, have they?
Short answer, no. Their schedule shows why they are a 500 team. So let's dive right into their key opponents so far this season. The TVC-Hocking is still up for grabs with 3 conference games left. If they can win out, they will still have at least a share of the title. As you can see, Monroe Central and Eastern both take L's to that teams, and then the gauntlet comes into play as Frontier and Martins Ferry. They did get their get back against Eastern, winning 59-56. But we also see that they beat Southern, so they are 3rd in the conference right now.
Yeah, a lot of season left for this squad. Thanks for the insight, Jamie.
Now the Trimble boys hosting the Southern Tornadoes, and they got an upset on their minds. Paul Sharp with the steal. They'll have a little bit of trouble capitalizing on it, but the shot by Osborne will end up falling. And speaking of shots falling, well, when they're going to keep doing that, if you leave Brady Jasek wide open in the corner, Tomcats up 10 at half. But with these shooters on Southern, even if you play perfect defense, sometimes Case Nelson's just going to sink one anyways. So late, time to make a play, and Andre Chandler ices it for the Tornadoes. They complete the comeback, 65-60. So now heading over to the Trimble girls, and they're on a roll as the winners of 7 straight, and this week the chance to keep it moving against a Belpre team that swept them last year. And here to talk about that streak is Trimble reporter Andrew Rowan.
Thanks, Todd. The girls are on their best start since 2022, and when you look at the numbers, they're pretty impressive. But let me show you these numbers. You can see the 7-game win streak. They've scored more than 400 total points over those games. That's including a win over conference opponent Southern and an 11-2 Fisher Catholic team. So they're winning in dominant fashion. So let's see if they can keep moving against a scrappy Golden Eagles squad. And the Tomcats wasted no time getting things started with a steal and score from freshman Ava Richards. Belpre wasn't going down without a fight though, as junior captain Gracie Bills would look for the 3-pointer and would not be denied. Bills would then follow that up with a steal of her own, which would cut their deficit, being down by 4 going into halftime. Fast forward to the 4th quarter, the Belpre defense would get a little too aggressive, fouling junior Ryland Fouts, who would place the dagger with a pair of free throws. She finished the night with 25 total points. Trimble would have good ball control in the waning moments of the game to win 65-51. So tight, pretty dominant win, and that one makes 8 straight wins for the Tomcats.
Yeah, and of course, a season sweep of the Golden Eagles, too. You got to feel good in a matchup as physical as
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect way to describe this one. It got chippy. Belpre had 3 starters foul out. You don't really see that often.
Yeah, but it looks like Trimble kept pace with that intensity. I mean, 65 points. What a night for them.
Yeah, and I think that intensity speaks to the mindset of this team. That's the culture you're starting to see with their new head coach, Josh Levy. These girls play click and aren't afraid to take some contact.
Yeah, definitely something new in Gloucester. I mean, just last season, this team looked way different, a much slower style of play.
And now it's the opposite. Levy told us after the game that every huddle he tells his team to keep up the pace. So after starting this year 3-4, they've clearly figured something out. They might shake up those standings later in the year.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say this is a team to watch out for. Thanks, Andrew. And speaking of those standings, here's how things look. Eastern got the win over FedHawk, so first place for themselves, and we just told you to watch out for Trimble, just 1 game behind FedHawk and Waterford at 4th place.
And then Belpre and Southern rounding out the bottom. But a different story for the Southern boys, undefeated in conference, sitting in 1st, Waterford in 2nd, a game ahead of Belpre in 3rd.
Eastern and FedHawk following, then Trimble. They're the last one to Southern. They sit at the bottom. But I think you've heard enough in the Hocking, so let's shift over to the Ohio, starting with NY and Natalie. We've seen some significant changes to this boys lineup.
Yeah, senior Alec Thompson is out, and with his scoring, that's a serious loss. And so to tell us more, we welcome on NY reporter Sam Nolan.
Yeah, guys, that's a torn bicep, likely keeping Thompson out for the rest of the season, and his importance cannot be overstated. He definitely leaves some huge shoes to fill given how much he's done for the Buckeyes over the past 3 years. In his last full season for NY, Thompson averaged about 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on good efficiency. That type of presence will certainly be missed moving forward, but we got to see who stepped up for the Buckeyes on Friday. There's Alec before the game with Bean Martin, who was declared out right before tip-off. Down 2 starters, it's Cam Sullivan finding the bottom of the basket first. Next play, it's his buddy, Weston Wheatley, in the corner. That's cash. Buckeyes lead early. The Tides would turn from here, though. NY keeps turning the ball over, and the Raiders take advantage on the other end. Blink twice, and it is 20-13 River Valley after 1. A rejection by Grant Elliott here, a couple passes, and the ball finds its way into Champ Schultz's hands, who hits the clean step through. Despite his 15 points in the first half alone, Buckeyes trail 41-33 at the break. NY tries to mount a 3rd quarter comeback, but to no avail. Here comes Braden Bennett, crushing spirits and taking names to close it off with the and 1. Raiders win 71-66.
So a tough loss for NY, falling just short of the comeback.
Yeah, a strong second half effort for sure, but it still felt like we got to take a look into the future of Buckeye basketball. First of all, we saw some greatness from Champ Schultz, who finished the night with 29 points and 6 rebounds. Still not enough for NY.
29 in a loss. That's not something you see every day.
I think it comes down to free throw shooting. That's where coach attributed the loss to after the game. They shot just 24% from the line as a team. They'll have to clean that up in practice, but they're in good hands with Champ at the helm.
Yeah, a lot to build off of, and definitely a player you want to watch out for. Thanks, Sam. Now, moving to the NY girls, they hosted Meigs on Thursday, and Maddie Pidcock gave them a warm welcome. Just look at this, a 3-off transition. The Buckeyes lead 11-6 after 1, and Pidcock claimed 9 of those 11.
Yeah, she can score. How about an assist too? Check this out to Veda Stalter in the corner for the triple. And wait on a sec, because Meigs wants in on the fun. Shelby Yost with a 3 of her own. That's 21-16 NY at the break.
But it wasn't enough for the Marauders. NY claimed this one 48-36.
So moving to the Athens boys, the Bulldogs are in the midst of a rebuilding year after some key departures. And with a tough game against VC this week, they need their younger guys to step up. So to tell us more is Athens reporter Luke Schmidt. And Luke, they have two guys playing some really good ball for them right now.
Yeah, Ty, good ball might be an understatement. The Bulldogs have two sophomores leading the way this season. Let's start with Ren Ballou. He transferred into Athens from FedHawk this offseason. Ballou landed on our all-futures team last year, averaging 12.1 points per game as a freshman. Colin Chapman is another young player who has stepped into an increased role this year. As a freshman, he averaged 9.3 points a game and has now emerged as Athens' most consistent scoring option from behind the arc. Bulldogs entered this one looking for payback against Vinton County after falling to the Vikings a month ago. You heard me say his name, now it's time to watch him work. Colin Chapman with a step-back three, cash. He finished with 16 points on the night. Josh Montgomery kept the Vikings rolling early, leading Vinton County with 19 points. Montgomery got the offensive rebound off his teammate's miss, and he went right under that double team for a score. Seconds left to go in the first half. Chapman sent the shot up from what looked like the parking lot, and he hit the bullseye. He walked off the court unfazed and ready for the second half. Athens led early in the third, and it was feeds like this from Ren Ballou that found open teammates in the paint. But the Vikings did not go away that easily. Freshman Briggs Prater, coast to coast, beating third quarter buzzer and swung momentum back to Vinton County. Vikings pulled away from Athens in the fourth, winning 68-59. So Ty, despite the Bulldogs holding multiple leads throughout this one, VC stayed in it and they came away with a win.
Yeah, Luke, and Athens still looked good in this game, so something had to push the Vikings over the top.
3-point shooting was the key to this Vinton County win. It really felt like every Viking had a deep ball, 6 players making at least one three-pointer. Athens struggled to adapt to that style of play, and they left the arc open in the second half, and the Viking shot just kept falling.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep up when another team is shooting like that, but Athens was in it, so clearly something to build off of here.
They've definitely found something in their offensive identity. You heard his point total earlier. Well, Chapman finished with a double-double, not to mention the team shot nearly 50% from the field. So, Ty, these young Bulldogs are looking efficient right now. Something to look forward to next week when they face the FedHawk Lancers.
Yeah, we'll definitely be paying attention. Thanks, Luke. And of course, there is always a ton to pay attention to every week in the TVC. So make sure to check us out on Instagram, X, and Facebook for all things TVC basketball.
And for video content, tune into the WOUB PBS YouTube channel. And you can't miss our written content, which can be found at woub.org/heroes. So we know the VC boys tucked a home win under their belt, and they had a chance to notch another one, this time on the road against Alexander. And for that, we bring in Vinton County reporter Ella Hughes to tell us more.
Yeah, that win against Athens has got to feel good for the Vikings, who are in an unfamiliar territory right now, sitting just below a winning record. Looking all the way back to the 2018-19 season, the Vikings have not finished below 500. In recent years, they've been nothing short of successful. In fact, they haven't had a losing season since 2001. However, their pace right now is not going to produce a winning record. So let's jump right in. Alexander, a team they beat once before, played host to the Vikings. The first quarter was a back and forth, with both teams starting to heat up on offense. Viking defense and the word relentless might as well be synonyms, because in the second quarter, they gave up just 4 points to Alexander. VC would end the half up 33-16, courtesy of guard Briggs Prater, who led the Vikings in scoring through 2 frames. The Spartans would make a push in the second half, with their offense coming easy. They would pull the score to within 6, 41-47, with just 2 minutes left. But the VC defense stood tall, putting the game away with a final score of 52-41. Head coach NJ Kite understands just how important this defensive battle was for his team.
You get a conference win, it's huge, especially one on the road. This is always a tough place to play. They're always ready. You know, Coach Hill does such a good job with them. You know, every win's big, and it's like I told the guys in the locker room after the game. You know, it's always better to learn from a win than learn from a loss.
I mean, you heard it from Coach. This win is huge for the Vikings' confidence.
Yeah, Ella, and one freshman really stood out for the Viking offense.
Yeah, and that is freshman guard Briggs Prater, who is fantastic off the bench for the Vikings. He brought speed and scoring when they needed it most, putting up 15 points.
But he wasn't the only Viking putting up big numbers, was he?
That's right. Junior Josh Montgomery was running the court for the Vikings. He stood out with his 19 points and 5 steals, and smart play will be instrumental down the line. Just take a look at their upcoming schedule. It's stacked with 6 conference games. The Vikings see Meigs and Wellston for the last time, but they also see Nelsonville York 2 more times. With plenty of conference games left, the Vikings have time to turn their year around.
Absolutely. Looking forward to see how they grind it out. Thanks for the hard work, Ella. Now the girls hosted Jackson. Let's see if they could pull off a win. Here's a three by Iron Lady Lauren Walburn. Jackson leads 11-2 after one. VC down 28-9 but at the half. But here's Lady Viking Kylie Smith trying to revive her team with this triple. Getting deja vu, it's because that's Walburn again draining another three to send this game into the fourth. VC's Nora Martin with an easy lay, trying to fight back, but a little game of keep away, and that's wraps. Jackson takes this one 47-29 and picks up their fourth win of the season.
Earlier this week, we also saw the Lady Vikings take a trip to the Alley in their rematch with the Alexander Spartans in the battle for second place in the TVC-Ohio. And joining me now to talk about it is Spartans reporter Joshua Jacob.
Thanks, Ty. This rematch was for a top spot in the conference, and it was the back and forth we all were hoping it would be. Now, I could talk about it all day, but why don't I just show you? These two teams haven't seen each other in over a month, and the anticipation was high. Alexander didn't seem to waste any time getting an easy bucket for Caden Bede off the feed from Macy Hubbard. Vinton County says, I can do that too, and Lakeem Williams gets it inside and lets Emma Leaning do some hard work in the paint. First quarter ends tied at 18-18. Now, Alexander wants to show off their range, and with some smart spacing, Lydia Moore gets some room from range, and it rattles around, but it's good. Now, Vinton County on the fast break, and you can't give Leeming that much space. Up and in, VC with the lead. Now, in the fourth, they could not stop VC in the paint, and Kylie Smith with the layup. Vinton County takes this one 60-56.
Now, JJ, I know we just saw a lot of offense, but the defensive matchup with these two, it's special.
Absolutely, and it's a crucial reason why this game was so close throughout. Now, right here, you're going to see this full court press. This is what they started the game in, trying to squeeze that ball to the back corner. Now, they do that a lot more. These two girls, they're over here. They've got the speed to make it, but they're not aggressive enough. They're able to pass it back and get some quick passes. Now, they do get a tip pass there, but right here, you'll see them get the right idea, get in front of her, try to block her, but BC's able to blow right by.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the result, it's still really going to wear down those Vikings.
Absolutely, and that's why they switched it into a 3-2 zone, forcing the ball outside. So right here, they have those high arcing passes, trying to get Alexander get a play on it. And when they come into the paint, they're going to play big and then force that ball back outside, and then everyone rotates back over. And you see this happen right here. They'll get in front, affecting this pass, and that's what gets Kara Allison the extra effort for that steal.
Yes, you know, we've seen this defense at its best, and it can be suffocating. How do the Spartans get back to that?
Simply put, consistency. We talked to Coach about it, and she said when this defense is on, the offense plays fast and in time. When it's slow, the offense reflects it and needs a boost. So when it's all said and done, this team is steps away from being the full package. They just need to find that consistency.
Well, you know, we can't wait to see it. Thanks for the great work, JJ. Now to the boys. Remember, they beat NY earlier this year, and they were quick to remind the Buckeyes. Noah Ray with the knockdown three off the assist from Chase McDaniel, but now flip it and spin it around. Here's Grant Elliott putting a guy on the floor. That's not a foul, sorry. That's a bucket, though. Quick response from Alexander Ray to Jace Cooper. You can't leave him that open. 45-42 Buckeyes, but this one ended up getting away from the Spartans as Blaine Gabriel picks up his 200th win as head coach. Buckeyes 90-63.
Moving over to the Meigs girls, there's Meigs County native Mark Griffin in his first year as head coach. Let's start with Wellston, though. Kennedy Stevens, 2 on her chest, but this score is for 3. Wellston up 20-18 at half.
But when you've got a lead against Meigs, Shelby Yost is a name you don't want to forget. This three is assisted by Aladine Heisel. Her dominance continued into the fourth as she scores 19 points. The Marauders storm back, went 54-40, and Yost spoke to this team's resilience.
I'm just glad we didn't give up because, you know, like, them being that physical with us, like, kind of leads on to, like, getting in our heads and stuff like that. So I think that really helped us.
So the girls pick up their big win, but the Meigs boys arguably had the biggest game of the week.
Yeah, for sure. In a face-off between the two top teams in the TVC-Ohio, the Marauders hosting Wellston. The winner of this one sits by themselves in first place.
Huge game for these two teams. We got to bring in Meigs reporter Joshua Hunter to talk about this one.
Yeah, you two highlighted just how important this matchup is, but this will be part 2 of the series between each other as Meigs dominated earlier this season, winning by 36. And not only did they do it offensively, but they held the Golden Rockets' 2 best players, Justin Jackson and Wes Briggs, to under 20 combined points, and Carson Davis dominated, dropping 33 points, including 9 triples. But since that game for Wellston, the Golden Rockets haven't lost a conference game, due in large part to Briggs and Jackson. Briggs is a versatile big man who can play inside out, and Jackson a guard who can do it all, shooting and slashing. But they have a tall task to handle the Meigs' big 3, Colvin Buechler, Owen Tracy, and Davis. And these two complement each other very well. All 3 can shoot and get to the rim and lead a high-powered Marauder offense. And let's go to lights out in Pomeroy for the tie-breaking matchup at the top of the Ohio. Quarter one, Owen Tracy with 2 of his 16 points in the first half with the floater. Marauders up 8 after the first. Let's move to the second. Jackson to Briggs on the handoff for a triple as the center leads Wellston on a run, but Davis quickly would end that run with a huge throwdown in transition. Marauders end the half strong with a 13-point lead. Now let's go to half number 2. Jackson with the drive and the bucket. Golden Rockets cut it to 5 after the third, but let's go to the fourth now. Buechler, who starts the quarter with 5 points in a row. This one coming from beyond the arc, and the Marauders start to pull away. This Davis post-up bucket puts his squad up 12, and why not an assist from Buechler to Davis? Those two score 20-plus in a 15-point Marauder win.
I played Wellston earlier in the season, so we knew personnel matchups. And right now we had a week off coming into this game, so we tried to do some stuff that we needed to improve on over the week.
Yeah, this was certainly a big-time win for Meigs in a back-and-forth game at home.
And Josh, just like you mentioned, the tie is now broken at the top of the Ohio.
Yeah, it seemed like the stars you talked about certainly did their thing tonight.
Oh, that's for sure. Briggs lit it up from beyond the arc. He had 5 threes in this game, and really Jackson did a great job of being aggressive all night long and getting his shot. Now, one thing Wellston did defensively was they keyed in on Carson Davis. They put a lot of their defensive attention to him. So here's what that led to. That led to Owen Tracy and Colvin Buechler getting driving lanes. They had some pull-up jumpers. They did a great job of getting to the rim and being aggressive for this Meigs offense.
So what could stand in Meigs' way for another potential TVC-Ohio title?
Well, there's still 2 TVC games tied that I have circled on the calendar, and it's Nelsonville, York, and Vinton County. VC remains the one conference loss on the schedule, while NY played the Marauders very tough at home earlier this season. But look, there's still a lot of games left in the season for Meigs, but this one certainly puts them one step in the right direction to another TVC-Ohio title.
Yeah, definitely a big win for the squad. Thanks, Josh. You just saw Meigs defeat Wellston. That gives them sole ownership of first in the Ohio. Wellston drops to second, tied with Vinton County.
Now, NY did lose to River Valley, but they still sit just one game ahead of them in fourth. So the Raiders sit at fifth, then followed by Athens and Alexander. But how about for the Athens girls? They're feeling comfortable at first at 6-0.
Yeah, things start to get a bit tighter though at the 2 spot. VC got the win over Alexander, so they're in second. That puts River Valley and Alexander tied for third.
And with NY close behind in fourth, that puts Meigs just ahead of Wellston, rounding out the bottom. But now you got the standings, and some players really help these teams get there.
It's time we named our Heroes of the Week. So starting with the girls, it has to be Trimble's Rylan Fouts. She accounted for nearly half of her team's points against Belpre, dropping 25 with 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks.
Obviously the numbers look impressive, but she did it in pretty impressive fashion too. Remember, that's a physical Golden Eagles defense. Not a problem though, she drove to the basket with 4 and 1's a big reason for her team's 8-game win streak. And now for our boys' Hero of the Week, it's a force, but this time in the Ohio.
We gotta hand it to Champ Schultz from NY. He racked up a casual 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists in a blowout against Alexander.
And later in the week, even though it was a loss, I mean, you have to mention his performance against River Valley. 29 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals to his name. Saying he's on fire might be an understatement. So just a really dominant week for both these two players.
Yeah, and taking a closer look at the numbers, you can tell just how important these are to their team's success.
I mean, efficient shooting and really good defense on the other end of the court. I mean, a couple steals, a couple blocks are really all you could ask for competing for your conference. Well, that's a wrap on week 1 of Hardwood Heroes. But no worries if you'll miss us. We'll be right here, same time, same place next Sunday.
But until then, make sure to check us out on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.